is April 18th, 2024, and I'm in the bigger machine now. I wasn't planning on being here at the new farm today, but change of plans. So we're out here, and I think I'm going to, well, the farm continues up towards the mountain, and there's actually a small road up in here that was made earlier on. So this road was, an existing road that was cleared, and I'm going up there to widen it up so that when the boys get, the crew to come through and try and use the boom trucks and cranes to try and get some of these trees brought down, like those bigger albicias there, it's accessible. So you can see here on that side, that's where the road comes from. And I've kind of cleared this area out here, which was mostly just grass, because I had cleared the trees from it much earlier on last year. But here I am back up here again with a big machine. I'm going to, like I said, clear away. The path kind of goes through here. It's kind of hard to see from in here in the machine, but the path kind of goes through here and it winds its way up towards the mountain. And as you can see here, it doesn't seem accessible. It's actually pretty dense. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be clearing that route with the machine, but also trying to get to a point down below, because on the left side of all of this, right over this little hill, we're actually on a hill here, it kind of drops down, and that's where I'm farming. So that's the area where our farm exists within the bigger entity of what this huge farm is. And I'm just trying to create another way to get down into there, rather than always coming up from all the way up at the bottom all the way down there and just continuously making mud with the machine as I come up, because where I'm actually accessing is up here towards the mountain. So let's get up in there and clear it up a little bit, and hopefully we can make a path by the end of the day today. I've got about 2.5 hours of sunlight, so we'll see if we can make this work. I wish I had my tripod, but like I said, I can't afford it right now. So until then, I'm just going to be cutting in and out to show you the progress thus far. So there you go. You can kind of see down in there, that's where the path heads, right down through there, and we're going to widen this path. So I'm going to be cutting more out of this left side than I am the right, but I am going to be clearing some of the right as well. So we'll work on widening this up. All right, so when we started the video, we were all the way down there, right in this area right here. And as you can see, I've worked myself up to right where I am. And that took, I think, about an hour. So I've cleared the side that I wanted to. There are lots of trees on this side as well that need to be saved. The koa trees, like I mentioned, are going to stay, and we're probably just going to trim them back because they're kind of tall and lanky, and as time goes by, they're probably going to have a very high rate of falling over just because of how tall and lanky they are compared to them being short and just branching out. Also, there are plants here that I need to be very careful of not destroying. That's because the tenants that were here before us had planted trees all over the place, and we gotta try and salvage as many trees as we can. So these here, this tree right here in front of me, as well as this one here, actually accidentally broke the top. I was trying not to, but I had to move some tree trunks over it, and all this tangled mess here got tangled and ended up topping off that one. But thankfully the whole tree is not destroyed, so it'll do just fine once this area starts getting cleared up. But this here in front of me, these are cinnamon trees. So if you smell the leaves, they smell very cinnamony, smell very good, as a matter of fact, and we use that for all kinds of stuff. So we just got to keep an eye out for the plants that are beneficial out here, although they are all beneficial in some way. Some are more beneficial to us humans than others. And a lot of these are just super invasive, like this strawberry guava here. I know it's kind of hard to tell because there's trees all over the place, but you'll see eventually when this area clears up. Down here on this side, there's still quite a ways to go, by the way. Still have to go all the way up to there. Remember, we go all the way up to the mountain pretty much, so there's a lot of clearing to do. And the clearer I can get this, I'm in the big machine, which doesn't have a grading plate. So when I finally do clear this up to a certain point, I'll go down and grab the machine with the grading plate and grade this road out a lot nicer. Although I'm not quite done with clearing this path, I still want to clear a little bit, maybe about 5 feet towards this direction. So a lot of these plants are still, you know, have yet to be taken out. And I'm planning on taking this side out, the 5 feet on this side, before the end of the day. But I really came up here because I wanted to create a path down to where we're farming, aside from this huge farm. And that area is right down here. So you can see just how high up I am compared to where we are actually farming down there. And that's, you know, quite a ways down. But I cleared a spot down in here. It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see it from the other side. A spot where I can cut a road in. And that road is not going to come straight up towards me, of course. It's more going to come up at an angle like this. So I'm going to probably come down this way because I can already tell from right where I'm standing that there might have been a path that came through here. I'm not quite sure. But regardless of whether there is or not a path that was existing before the one I'm going to create, I'm going to have to make a path down through here. So a lot of these trees, I chose this spot for this path because if you look from down there, there are a lot of big trees, kind of like that one there, this one right behind me, all over this area. And I'm not trying to pull up any trees in creating this path. I'm trying to leave those trees for the guys to come out here and drop them because that's just too much work, you know, to do with the machine. Although it is doable, it's much better if the guys can get in here and you can see that canopy, it just flares out. Leave it for the guys to come out here and drop the branches one by one and eventually get to the trunk. So it looks like I'm going to have to come down, maybe enter somewhere through here, which isn't good because we have all these big trees right here. You see this big tangled up mess. And I'm gonna really have to figure out a way through this stuff here. But wow, I might have to go. This path might have to cut in. Okay, we have a big dead koa tree right here, but the whole koa isn't dead because you can see some dead branches. This is a dead branch, but the other branch that comes up this way and this way is totally alive. So the path might be, wow. I've got myself in a pickle here. The path just might be winding its way through from down there. I don't know. I'm just looking from up here for the first time now, and it just seems like I'm going to have to really figure this one out because these are all, a bunch of koa trees right next to each other. That isn't a koa tree. I don't exactly know what the name of that tree is, but I've seen that tree quite a bit and folks use it for hedging, but it's in there just randomly, right amongst all the koa trees. So I'll try to clear up quite a bit more of this, and hopefully it's not too dark where I can, record and show you guys what I've decided to do and where the road is supposed to cut in at. All right, I think I see the path. I found myself here in a little, really, really pretty area amongst the koa, and it is just unreal. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you see in, you know, Fantasia cartoons. It's picture perfect in here as far as a little jungle goes. But this reminds me of the cartoon Fern Gully.
You're going
it's just
to
so
love
pretty.
Fern Gully.
And I kind of
It's
remind
the most
myself
beautiful, wonderful
of the
place
bulldozers
in the
that came through and destroyed Fern Gully, which is not good. But we'll try to preserve as much of this little Fern Gully as we can. Although I do see the road. You see these plants right here. Here's the foliage of that plant. I'm sure some of you know what this plant is here, but it has propagated itself quite heavily, with the main tree being this one here. It is super beautiful to see. However, at the same time, this guy is going to have to move. So this wood, the wood on this plant looks amazing. It looks really solid. And you know, if I had a chainsaw, these look like some really good pieces of wood that you could use for some posts, either for a gate or for fencing, but just solid looking wood. However, like I said, sadly, I'm gonna have to take it out. And what's gonna have to happen here, as you can see, the road is here, so I'm going to have to cut in somewhere through here, and it's gonna wind its way down this way. As soon as we hit this part right here, we are on the hillside. So it starts, you know, going downhill. So I'm gonna have to cut through that, just dig out more of this side so I can keep it level. And the road is gonna come down through here, all the way through here, continue its way through here. So quite a bit of the road is gonna be on this hillside. The reason is I'm trying to preserve as much of these koa trees as I can. And even some of these guys, the hedging trees, you know, they might turn out to be useful someday. Or it might just look pretty here on the hillside. And also it can kind of, you know, create a bench. It can also create a bit of erosion control for the time being until I plant some vetiver or other plants, you know. But you can see here, the koa trees are right here towards the right side. So this side is what I have to work with, but there's also a large koa tree right there. So I have to go right in between these trees and that one and continue on down that way till I finally get to the bottom. But we'll try and get on it right now. I'll clear a little bit more going up that way towards the mountain, and then I'm going to try to start cutting this road in. All right, it's April 20th, 2024, and I'm up here where I was clearing the other day. So, like I said, I didn't manage to clear as much as I wanted to, but I got a fair amount done. And what do you know? One of the boys sent out a group text letting us know that we need to halt any more clearing or bringing down of larger trees because there is a conservation permit that we need before we can progress with clearing out this forest of invasive plants. And things like this happen because, of course, with conservation, you're trying to maintain, I guess, a living habitat for Hawaii's plants and animals. And because of that, they, may need to come through and make sure we're not doing anything that disturbs any living progression of plants or Hawaiian native critters. But this is what I was working on the road. And as you can see, I got, what do you figure, man? I got about this far, which is, about halfway. And I would have had it done by yesterday because today is Saturday. And I was working on this on Thursday. And I would have had it done on Friday. This would have been a road that's already established to get down into there where we are farming. So this is just one small portion of 40 acres that we're trying to farm on here. But here's the road, as I said, and there's that little fern gully up there with all the vines climbing the koa trees and whatnot. But koa trees are trees that are native here to Hawaii, and some of them are really old. But being here in this super thick environment, these koa trees are, rotting. You can kind of see it right there on the tree. You got all this rot going on. And also right here, wherever a branch breaks off, you've got rotting, and you've got, branches up here starting to die. Just like that tree there, you can see, dead branches on it. And these koa trees, every limb on it should be living. These trees are magnificent. They're solid trees. Even when the wood is dead, these trees are super solid. Here's that one tree that I mentioned folks like to build hedges out of. And it was huge. Although it was huge, the wood doesn't seem too dense. As a matter of fact, the wood looks kind of spongy, Very nice wood, though. It seems like really good wood for firewood. This stuff seems, dry already, which is a cool detail. That just means, when I come back with a chainsaw to cut all this wood up and stack it up for some firewood, this wood here, this tree is one to look for, and actually keep it real nice. It's also, some good prospect for firewood business in the future. Here you see some remnants of the old tenants. So this kind of stuff here, we're gonna have to, pick up, take down, and throw in the disposal bin. There's just a bunch of these. Look like little miniature huts all over the place. And this looks like it was a little what we call a umu house. Here in Hawaii, they refer to it as a imu, but in our culture, we refer to it as a umu because you can see here, these are good lava rocks for that, and that's the underground oven. You'll find lots of videos on that here on YouTube. So keep those rocks, close by. Some of them are actually kind of down in there as well. I'll collect these rocks up, take them down, and keep them where we make the fire, because these rocks are very, very nice rocks. But yeah, like I said, progress had to come to a halt right here. If it hadn't gotten dark as fast as it did, I would have had this completed before I realized the boys had sent out that message. But here we are halfway through it. So we're going to wait, see what happens. I don't doubt for a second that this doesn't disturb anything with the natural habitat, because if you're talking about the natural habitat of animals, this forest is huge, and the preservation of the koa trees, if anything, are what's key to conservation here. This hillside doesn't serve as a preservative for any type of creature other than the wild pigs, and those guys are not native. They are invasive. So me creating this road not only creates access, for me to be able to enter the farm back and forth and actually cultivate and use the land for what it's actually, meant for, to be cultivated and to be taken care of. So by taking care of these native species of trees and taking care of, the native plants, the native wildlife can actually hopefully flourish out here. Although a lot of those, plants and species of animals have already pretty much gone extinct. There's a lot of plants out here, and hardly any of them look native to me. And I know this because I worked at a native Hawaiian plant nursery. So I got to see a substantial amount, if not almost all the different plants that are native here to Hawaii. So hopefully we get this conservation permit taken care of so that we can continue with the progress out here. Thankfully, I know enough to know not to disturb, certain plants and to preserve certain plants so that I'm not just out here tearing everything down, just empty-minded, just tearing it all up. Like you see here, we saved some trees that are native here to Hawaii, and trees that preserve the actual island's stability as far as its ecosystem. This is a big rubber tree here. See, lots of these growing all over the place. Albesias, don't even need to talk about those. They're all over the place. So thankfully you see a lot of koa trees here, and those guys are gonna stay. Albesias gotta go, but a lot of them are kind of interwoven with these albesias. So it's a careful process. If I can't bring it down without harming the koa trees, I won't. The guys will have to come through here with boom trucks and take those down. That way they can work carefully. That's part of the reason for widening this route here. Because when the guys come up this road, it needs not only to be flat, but also it needs clearance so that these guys can actually get up there on the booms and bring, all these limbs down without too much risk. You can see up here, the road goes from what it is, wide, where I'm standing, because I've knocked all this stuff here down, to narrow. And this road is gonna need to be widened just like this, all the way up towards the mountain so that the guys can get easier access up here to take care of those trees. Another really invasive species out here is the strawberry guava, which is out of control. It's just wildfire because the birds love eating the fruit. And when they fly around and poop, they've really effectively propagated that plant. So it is all over the mountainside. It's almost everywhere. Very beautiful tree if you prune it and keep it looking, really nice ornamental plant around the house. But once those birds get the fruit, like I said, they go all over the place, poop all over the place, and now you have guava, strawberry guava all over the place. So of course it's like this with many plants, there's only so much you can do, but you try to keep it controlled as much as you can so that you don't face, greater problems in the future. But here's some breadfruit right here. There's another breadfruit tree right there. These mosquitoes are eating me even while I'm holding the camera. And those are from the last tenants, I presume. And I've broken some of the limbs here just by coming through and breaking down some of the bigger trees. They've knocked down some broken branches fell over on this breadfruit tree or ulu tree. So we want to preserve these because this plant is great for farming, but also great for sustenance and food stability. So lots of ulu trees out here. We'll try to keep those going. Good thing about ulu trees is more ulu plants tend to pop off of their roots like little shoots. So they propagate pretty well out here as well. So we'll try and propagate those as much as we can. Of course, you can't have too much of, one or a few things. You got to implement everything together. So that's what I'm trying to do out here. I'm trying to plant as many varieties that aren't invasive, along with the plants that, are beneficial to humans, not only through food stability, but also, financially. So there's always a balance in there. And on this journey, I hope to learn real well how that balance goes and what it actually looks like to have it be the right type of stability here in Hawaii. So we're gonna go down there to the truck. I brought over some cordyline plants from home, which are tea leaf plants, and we're gonna plant them around. I also have some cotton plants down there, and there's just novelties. I want my kids to, we germinated it from seeds, so I like to plant them out here and have the kids collect the cotton from them and, you know, make little pillows or whatnot. Just something fun for the kids to do and something for them to experience from, you know, plants out here that do specific things and give off certain fruit. So it's all about having a full experience with everything. But we'll get down there and we'll get these plants in the ground. All right, so I just got done making the holes to plant all the cordyline, and I gotta record this bottom portion of where that road I was just showing you is going to come down on. And right where you see that stack of wood right there is pretty much where it's coming down, because I had moved that wood from the edge over here so that I can bring the road down through there. So you can kind of see it right there, right behind the trees, that dirt where the road is coming down. And it starts right there. I don't know if you remember seeing this claw tree from the other side, but it starts on that side, slowly, gradually brings its way down, all the way down between those claw trees there and all the way down, and it'll eventually break open right here. So you see there, I'm pretty much halfway in. You can kind of see it right there, all that dirt. And I was almost there. So we'll wait for this conservation permit. Let these guys come through and see if they need to. And I'm pretty sure they're just gonna point out some stuff that shouldn't be taken out versus things that, you know, really don't belong here. And I pretty much know what that is. So hopefully I can get this road done ASAP so that I can continue to start laying out what this area should and will look like. As you can see, this area is pretty vast right where I'm standing, and I plan on making it pretty dense as far as planting goes. So it's all part of the agroforestry setup. It should look somewhat like this, just not as out of control as this. And each plant has its place, you know, in the garden / farm. So I prefer to see this more as a garden and me as the gardener versus a farm with me as the farmer, because I'm not necessarily planting everything for sale or anything like that. I just love to plant. Although we will sell quite a few things, you can't just, you know, plant and survive off of just planting unless you really plan to live that way, which I don't plan to live that way. I could, but my family definitely can't live that way. Of course, you can always work on getting everybody there, but sometimes it's just not that easy. So I'll continue on the way that I'm going. As you can see here, there's some PVC piping from the past tenants. There's a lot of that stuff that's going to need to be cleaned out. And I have some pipe cutters in the truck, which I will be taking to all this piping so that I can get it all out of here. I want all the junk out, and I want to make this as natural as possible by planting varieties of plants that not only benefit you know, the creatures and nature itself, but, you know, the island. So let's get down, back down to those holes that I made and get these cordyline plants planted. All right, so I've just gotten the cordyline cuttings planted here. I think I have 12 of them, and these are 2 separate varieties, and I have them planted in a staggered setup. So there are lots more cordyline varieties, and I plan on getting, you know, as many different varieties as I can, just because I love having, you know, a multitude of varieties of plants. I love collecting plants. I love watching them grow, planting them, and, you know, allowing them to just kind of merge and turn into a little garden. But in about a month's time, these guys will probably be established. And I want to have the cordyline planted all the way up towards the top. That way it kind of separates, you know, the rest of the road here from the area I'm growing in. And if, you know, anyone comes up through here, they can obviously see that there is an edge here that you shouldn't back up into if you have a vehicle. And if you do, you're more than likely to destroy some or a few plants. So hopefully we can get these guys established pretty quickly. Hopefully it continues to rain a little bit. It's still been raining here and there, although this area doesn't tend to rain as much as the old farm. So we're closer to the southeast side here, and the other farm is closer to the northeast side. So different microclimates, very similar. You wouldn't think so because we're on an island, but there is a difference in the weather patterns here and there. And it's a pretty funny thing, but it is what it is. So hopefully we get these plants to get established, and we'll come back in the future to see what they look like. I wanted to get a lot more done on this video, but I wasn't able to. These little orange flags that you see all over the place are plants that were already planted here. Plants that grew from the birds just pooping and having those seeds drop everywhere. And plants that I put into the ground. As you can see here, there are no flags for the cordyline that were just planted. That's because I ran out of flags. So I had 100 flags, and each of those are already on a plant that needs to be either salvaged or watched out for before someone accidentally destroys them, especially when the guys come through to start trimming and cutting a lot of these big trees down. So that's the reason for getting all these flags out here to mark everything, so it makes it a lot easier to spot things that we're trying not to destroy. Of course, some of them will be damn near impossible not to run into or destroy, but we'll try to save as many of them as we can. As for now, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.